Today is Friday, February 19th. Welcome to this edition of Nevada County Now. Today's episode we're talking organic waste, part 2, vaccinating teachers, and more. Hello and welcome to Nevada County Now. I'm your host, Cole Pettit. We've seen an increase of 109 COVID-19 cases since last week, bringing our total to 3,832 confirmed cases. 536 cases are currently active with 4 hospitalizations. According to the state's data, our adjusted case rate is now 14.0, down from 16.1, and our test positivity rate is 5.7%, down from 6.5% last week. But we remain in the purple or widespread tier for now. The death toll also remains at 74. For more on the current COVID situation and the progress with vaccines, let's hear once again from Taylor Wolf, Public Information Officer for Nevada County.
Let's start out with some of the numbers again today, just to review. We have, as of Thursday afternoon, 3,832 cases total since we began the COVID-19 pandemic. We are still in that purple tier, the highest tier for those business modifications and restrictions. But again, the good news is every week we are seeing that daily average new cases lower. So that is really good news in hopes that we can reach the red tier soon and decrease those business modifications needed. That would result in having some capacity for indoor dining in restaurants, probably most notably, but more capacity indoors for many of our businesses as well. Of course, with those COVID modifications still in place, and that includes masking and social distancing. Due to the drop in these daily average cases, we might see the active cases on our dashboard go down as well in the next few weeks. Right now, and for the last few months, we've really been standing steady at in the 500 to almost nearly 600 active cases in our Nevada County community at a given time. So very high community transmission when you're looking at those numbers, but as we're seeing less new cases come in, we expect that active case number to drop as well.
So you've reiterated a couple times over the past couple of weeks that the red tier metrics, we're going to have to meet them a couple weeks in a row to actually get to the red tier. Is that right?
That is correct, Cole. Thank you for the reminder. The state's guidelines on business modifications currently look at 2 different statistics to judge where we fall in the tier system. It's that daily new cases, like we've been talking about, and percent positivity. We have been landing in that red tier for percent positivity for a few weeks now, which is good news. So we really just need to get that new daily case rate back down into that red tier, average of below 7 daily cases on average per day. So we are heading in the right direction, but we need our statistics currently to stay within those 2 red tier metrics for at least 2 weeks before we can make that move. So it will take a little time. We encourage people to keep up the hard work and continue to mask social distance, wash your hands, and refrain from those social gatherings. Whispering Pines and My Turn has been a huge win for us, both at Nevada County Public Health, but I think for our community as a whole as we move into vaccinating widely. We had a soft launch 2 weeks ago with both our Whispering Pines clinic and the My Turn system, which was great because it gave us the opportunity to work through those kinks that we needed to work through, being very new systems. My Turn is a state system for scheduling appointments and eligibility notifications, and we were one of the first counties to gain access to that, which is truly great, but we're also one of the first counties being able to provide feedback to the state on how to improve that for the community's use. I will just take a moment to say, total into our community, we've received somewhere around 15,000 doses, and that is not solely reflective of just what Nevada County Public Health has received. That also includes Sierra Nevada, which is part of the NCE Dignity Health Network through Indian Services and through federal pharmacy partnerships. But that also represents first and second doses. So as we're on this journey to get our community vaccinated, there's become several different opportunities to get information out. My Turn is really turning into that vaccine eligibility and appointment system. But we also early on launched that 211 text to subscribe update. So texting vaccine info to 898-211. And really the use of that is for routine updates. It won't necessarily always be appointment availability like My Turn will, where you can go in and schedule an appointment right then, but really learning at where we are at in Nevada County along the vaccine process. So, that might be how the state is determining eligibility this week and where we are at in currently phase 1B. Right now, whilst we're speaking with eligibility, there is about 40,000 people who are eligible in our community for the COVID-19 vaccine in phase 1B. But again, we've received, somewhere just over 15,000 vaccines into our community as a whole. And that represents first and second doses. So that doesn't necessarily equate to 15,000 people in our community who have been vaccinated. So we continue to ask people to be patient, to stay tuned to those different information systems for their opportunity to get a vaccine. We have vaccinated our educators in our community, which the state is coming out prioritizing our educators currently. So we are ahead of the curve there, which is some good news. And we are currently really focusing in on that 65 plus population. The state also has announced within the last week that as of March 15th, we will likely be opening up eligibility statewide for 16 to 64 with underlying health conditions. More information to come on this. Again, currently, for those who are eligible in Nevada County, there's just not enough vaccine to vaccinate everyone who is eligible, but we do, through the Whispering Pines Clinic, we are adding new vaccination partners weekly. We have the systems in place that as soon as we receive that vaccine, we're getting it into arms, out into the community. None of it is going to waste, and we're ready to vaccinate our community as quickly as possible.
Thanks, Taylor. And remember, to stay up to date with the latest on the COVID vaccine, you can sign up for text alerts by texting vaccine info to 828-211. You can call 211 to speak to a call specialist. Visit mynevadacounty.com/coronavirus/vaccine, or to sign up for your appointment or see what appointments are available, visit myturn.ca.gov. Many county teachers were able to get their second vaccine this week, which should continue to bolster efforts to return our kids to school. Sonora Slater went to Nevada Union High School to see the process and talk with some of the people involved.
Yeah, this is very exciting. This is round 2 of a 2-dose vaccination clinic, and we are the only county in the state of California conducting this. We're offering vaccinations to all education personnel that are on the western slope of Nevada County. And at this point in time, we've gone through dose number 1 about 3 weeks ago. And now today is dose number 2. We have about 75% of all education personnel, custodians, teachers, classified staff, administrators, and such that are taking advantage of this. So a very high rate of return. So super excited.
That's great. How do you think this will help the NJU-HSD to, get back to normal operations and just help them in the future of the school year?
Yeah, we have a number of strategies that we're employing right now to get back to quote unquote normal, whatever, that's going to ultimately look like. But this is a linchpin. So getting as many of our staff members vaccinated and protected, against the unknowns of this virus is critical. And so without this clinic and without our partners, we wouldn't be able to come back and offer our services to kids in person.
And then sort of just one last thing, can you talk a little bit about the logistics of how this is happening and how it all sort of came together?
Yeah, this is a partnership between 3 agencies. So the Nevada Joint Union High School District, the Nevada County Superintendent of Schools, along with the Nevada County Public Health Agency. And all 3 of us just work closely together. And it also helps, being in a tight-knit community. We're all in Rotary and Lions clubs together and have close working relationships and friendships. And the idea just sort of came around organically, and then we were able to pull it off and turn it around in about 2 weeks. So been pretty seamless effort so far. So all agencies are doing their part, and it's just been a great example of intergovernmental cooperation. So just I'll go over what's happening. Folks come in the front and they sign up. In their paperwork, we take symptom checks, temperature checks, and such, and then they line up here. The shots are administered here, and then by law, we're making sure that all shot recipients, vaccination recipients, stay for 15 minutes for symptom check or reaction check after they receive the vaccine. And so far, so good. We haven't had anybody have any immediate negative reactions.
So the first time, there were no symptoms, there was no irritation. The day of, I felt great. I popped out of here. The next day, it hurt for about 2 hours, 3 hours tops, and it was really mild. So overall, much, much milder than I was afraid it might have been.
Cool. How does the process work here? How have sort of the logistics of it been going through?
Okay, so they've got it set up to where it's really streamlined, to be honest. They've got everything you need. You have all the paperwork sent to you via email. You fill it out in advance. By the time you come here and get in line, you've already got everything you need. So the line moves relatively quickly. And if there are any concerns for the way that people filled out the paperwork, the local nurse will pull you aside, have a conversation, and either clear you or send you away based on whether or not you're fit to take the vaccine that day.
So today is day 2 of our second clinic, so vaccination 2 of the COVID-19 vaccine. And the whole thing came about as an amazing collaboration with Nevada County Public Health Office, Nevada County Superintendent of Schools Office, and Nevada Joint Union High School District. And that collaboration has been ongoing for years. And when an event such as this came up, it made sense that we would work together to do the best that we could to get our teachers back in the classroom, vaccinated first, so they felt safe to return and get our students back in school.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about, especially since it was a partnership, what sort of preparation went into this event?
Yeah, so logistically, this was a big undertaking, and big kudos go to Karen Harris, the school nurse here at Nevada Union High School. It really was her brainchild and a lot of her effort, bringing together multiple people, volunteers, nurses, public health department, and people from different school sites to run stations so these days would go smoothly. And really that effort and having the flow was her doing, and it has been more than we could have ever hoped for.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you might want to add about how your job position and what you're working in sort of gives you a perspective on what's happening?
Yeah, so as Director of School Safety, it is my job to be a resource to the school sites in Nevada County, all of our school sites, public, private, charter schools. And in doing that, part of it was that COVID prevention plan and the return to school and school reopening plans. So having this clinic here at the high school is a dream come true for the educators serving our students here in Nevada County. And a big thank you to Scott Lay, the Superintendent of Schools for Nevada County, who worked diligently with the Public Health Department to get all the questions answered, all the I's dotted and T's crossed to make this happen.
Thanks, Sonora. Last week, our political correspondent, Mary Jane Hunegart, began the discussion on SB 1383 and some of the changes that may be coming down the pipe. Let's turn it over once again to her for the conclusion of this two-part piece.
Hello, Nevada County. I'm Mary Jane, a fellow citizen of Nevada County and Nevada County Now's political correspondent. Today's piece is the second part of a presentation about a new law addressing organic waste diversion. So once again, I'm going to talk about the stinky trash. I left you last week having described the recently formed Organic and Food Waste Subcommittee of Nevada County's Solid and Hazardous Waste Commission. I spoke with Grass Valley City Council member Tom Ivey, whom the mayor appointed to focus on the issue. As a part of this appointment, Ivey sits on the Organic and Food Waste Subcommittee. While he is disappointed about the law's quick timeline and lack of resources, because like I said, CalRecycle is not actually providing funding to the communities, he sees a significant upside. As a community, we import a lot of compost for our local farms, gardens, and our cannabis industry. This law encourages us to identify ways to replace an import with a local product and create local jobs. While CalRecycle isn't providing SB 1383 implementation money specifically, they are providing potential opportunities for communities to get creative with partnerships through grants, loans, and education. I visited the grant section on the calrecycle.org website, and sure enough, one of the advertised grant categories is, quote, to promote infrastructure development for recycling manufacturing, composting, and anaerobic digestion facilities in California that divert more materials from landfills and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Grant funds also available for food rescue and food waste prevention projects that benefit disadvantaged communities. In the loan section, one of the advertised loans is, quote, to promote in-state development of infrastructure to process California-generated organics and other recyclable materials into new value-add products. In other words, this could be a pretty sweet business opportunity for someone. Councilmember Ivey suggested that if we were to recover our organic waste locally and turn it into the good stuff, a nonprofit or private company would be a welcome partner, and he and other community leaders are ready to help make the startup process as smooth as possible. Another partnership Ivey mentioned was the county and city contracts with waste management. Ultimately, as they are in the business of hauling our trash from our homes and businesses to where it needs to go, they are essential here. I spoke with Shivati Karki Pearl, Public Sector Manager at Waste Management, to talk about how Nevada County is doing and how that organization will be partnering with Nevada County to conform to SB 1383, from big grocery stores down to individual residents. Waste Management is working with the local jurisdictions to figure out how to create the infrastructure that will allow us to comply with SB 1383 to come up with the programs that will deal in the best way with our organic waste. Let's talk about the transfer station for a moment. It's unclear at the moment whether the two little remote transfer stations serving the town of Washington and the San Juan Bridge will be affected, so I'm going to focus on McCourtney. The McCourtney Road Transfer Station is operated by the county and is also used by the cities for its waste diversion programs, such as the partnership with Waste Management, as well as businesses like contractors and people like my husband and me who enjoy the satisfaction of borrowing a friend's trailer and going on a good dump run. So traditionally, when Waste Management picks up trash and recycling, those big natural gas powered trucks take it to and dump it at the transfer station, and then a third party will take it somewhere else, where depends on the material. Trash goes to that landfill in Lockwood, near Reno, as I mentioned in the last program. Recycling goes to Sacramento Recovery. Yard waste goes to Green Solutions in Lincoln, where it's made into landscaping materials, which is pretty cool. And e-waste and hazardous waste go to various other locations. There's no food waste processing center nearby. And I should mention, McCourtney Road Transfer Station currently doesn't have what's called a dedicated tipping floor for the organic food waste, which is where the organic food waste would need to be dumped in order to be allowed even to receive it to hold for pickup at our transfer station. The entire facility is preparing for a major renovation for a lot of other reasons, and has included in its plans a facility to help the county comply with the SB 1383 requirements. The existing public receiving area at the transfer station is destined to become the organics dumping area, where it can legally await pickup to be taken somewhere, locally, far away. I don't know. If we do get a local organic waste recovery facility, it will likely take years to bring it to a permitted utility. In the meantime, Waste Management is researching opportunities for pickup at the transfer station once the compliant facility is built, which is currently projected to be in about 18 months. Read more about this very neat project at mccourtneytransferstation.com. In the meantime, as we need to be compliant by January 1st, 2022, Waste Management is preparing for the possibility that it will need to pick up and drive our food waste directly to other counties where there are facilities that are permitted to handle it. They are currently evaluating the options, including which ones will take our food waste, how much volume they'll accept, how much it will cost, and so on. We will have a program in time, but fair warning here, it will be required unless you have a waiver, and it may be expensive. Note that Waste Management's current trucks are not made to pick up and then haul waste over a long distance. So, how about that waiver? SB 1383 does allow for waivers, meaning we wouldn't be required to sign up for service if we can prove that we are dealing with our own food waste, doing what's called self-diverting, composting it, feeding to our chickens, generally using it for good and not sending it to the landfill. I can't say much more about the waivers though, like who can get one and how, simply because the local jurisdictions, the city and county, still need to create the ordinance that will be our local SB 1383 implementation and enforcement guidelines. They are drafting it to put in place this year, well in advance of the January 2022 implementation. This ordinance will also be like a blueprint for Waste Management to follow in its partnerships with the city and county in helping us implement SB 1383. I should note here that the general sentiment is that SB 1383 is made for bigger cities. Infrastructure is likely already to be in place there, and the organic waste recovery facilities are likely closer. Going back to Councilmember Ivy's comment about the short implementation timeline, per CalRecycle, the state is short the organic waste recovery facilities of what is necessary to implement the law fully, statewide. We have about 180 compost facilities, only 34 of which accept food waste, and it will take 50 to 100 new facilities to divert the additional 20 to 25 million tons of organic waste annually as required. There's a lot up in the air around SB 1383 right now, and in this short space of time, I've probably created more questions than I've answered. I'll be following this issue, and later in 2021, I'll talk to Nevada County Solid Waste Division for an update. I'll also check in with Ms. Karki Pearl to see how Waste Management's plans are shaping up, and what our community can expect in terms of specific changes. The takeaway is that our actions under SB 1383 will help us as a community and as individuals help California address the impacts of SLCPs like methane on human health and the environment, especially in California's most at-risk communities. To educate yourself on the nitty-gritty of SB 1383, your best bet would be calrecycle.ca.gov. You can also stay informed about our local response and implementation by checking in with our Solid and Hazardous Waste Commission at mynevadacounty.com. Meetings are in April and October and are open to the public. If you have a specific question about politics that you'd like me to try my best to answer, please email ncnpolitics@gmail.com. It was my privilege to bring you a brief political piece today. See you again in 2 weeks, same time, same place. With spring coming up and warm weather yo-yoing its way back into being, I'll be discussing our local trail system.
Thanks, Mary Jane. February is Black History Month. For a look at how you can participate and educate yourself on the challenges and perspectives of our fellow community members, both near and far, let's hear from Sonora Slater.
Thanks, Cole. Black History Month is meant to be a celebration. So today, we want to highlight some of the ways that everyone in the Nevada County community can celebrate Black achievements and art, as well as offering ways to contribute to organizations heralding racial justice, fighting for positive change so that we have even more to celebrate in future years. One way to participate in the celebration is to watch a movie that tells the story of a person or multiple people of color. Some suggestions on Disney Plus are Hidden Figures, which tells the story of a group of Black female NASA mathematicians who helped make it possible for the first American astronaut to orbit Earth in 1961. Cool Runnings, based on the true story of the Jamaican Olympic bobsled team who competed in the 1988 Winter Games. Ruby Bridges, the true story of a 6-year-old girl who was one of the first Black children to attend an integrated school in 1960, or Soul, a Pixar movie about a Black jazz pianist who has a near-death experience. On Netflix, you can watch 13th, a documentary that explores the history of racial inequality in the United States. Or you can take advantage of the nearby Placer County Library's current Holds Pickup service to read books like The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Kiley, or the book Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly that the film is partly based on. You could also try cooking a soul food dish. While most museums are currently closed, you can explore many civil rights and Black history museums online through virtual tours and captioned photos. For a more local connection, Color Me Human is an organization led by a multiracial, multicultural team that is working to celebrate and support under-resourced communities and dismantle oppression in Nevada County. You can learn more about their organization and how to support them at colormehuman.org. Black History Month has a lot of meaning behind it, but at its heart, it's a celebration. There are many ways you can participate in this celebration, from the ones detailed above to any number of others. And whatever you decide to do, it's a great opportunity to spend time thinking about how cultural diversity enriches our world and our community. Back to you, Cole.
Thanks, Sonora. Tomorrow, Saturday, February 20th at 10 a.m., the Nevada County chapter of the American Association of University Women will be hosting a Zoom presentation from local author and founder of the Living Wild Project, Alicia Funk. Alicia traveled to India with her daughter, Annabella, for a trip organized by Women Serve, an organization that supports the education of women and girls in India. Her presentation will provide a glimpse into the lives of women and girls there and will show how simple solutions have made a lasting difference. They ask that you sign in between 9:30 and 9:55 a.m. for some chat time and to ensure they're ready to begin promptly at 10 a.m. Visit their website, nevadacounty-ca.aauw.net, to find the link. One of our fundraisers here at Nevada County Media is called Through the Lens. It's a short script-to-film competition that's open to all Nevada County residents. The first part is the submission of a short script. From there, 10 scripts will be selected as the winning contenders. Winning scripts will be announced at the end of April 2021. Through the Lens then kicks into full filmmaking mode as the authors of the winning scripts are assigned the challenging and rewarding task of self-producing their films over the summer. Completed films will be showcased at a red carpet gala premiere screening. This year's screening is tentatively scheduled for the second Monday in September at a location yet to be determined. The deadline for script submission is April 16th, so you've got plenty of time to start writing. Sadly, we were unable to hold this competition last year, but I'm excited to see what you'll come up with this year. We'll leave you with a few clips from previous years. Remember, stay safe, take care of each other. We'll see you next week. Yeah.